Hey coaches, Jamie Nixon here with North Nashville Hoops, your Director of Basketball Operations, along with Jeremiah McDonald, the Executive Director. And once again, like last year, we are bringing you the coaches meeting via video so that we can always refer back to it, that you guys can check it out. It also saves you guys time and it saves us time as well. It's just a more effective way to communicate with you guys. So right now, we're actually just going to go over several different things with you, but to start off, let's go over a league overview.
Yeah. Well, this year is our 9th season of North Nashville Hoops. This year, the season is going to start December 4th. It will run through February 5th. There will be no games played December 25th or January 1st. The tournament games will start February 12th and the 19th, that barring any kind of inclement weather. And speaking of the weather policy, our weather policy is listed on the website, but it basically states that we will make up at least 1 week of games. Outside of that, we don't guarantee that we'll make up games past that. We will always try, but the season will not go on past February the 26th. So just keep that in your mind as you're planning vacations or whatever. We could go up to February 26th, but we will try to end February 19th. This year, the games will be played at T.W. Hunter Middle School, Beach High School Annex, and we will have a couple weeks at White House High School. All teams will play a minimum of 9 games. And then also, just to kind of touch a little bit on the COVID policy, we hope that we won't get into that. But this year, we will not be requiring any kind of mask. There will be no temperature checks. And as far as cancellations, that will just remain the same, just like the weather policy.
Gotcha. Now, 9 years, honestly, how many times have you had to cancel?
3 or 4, maybe.
And so that's something that, we can cancel.
Mm-hmm.
What happens sometimes is we may cancel a couple games in the morning.
Sure.
And then later on in the day, they can actually do those. So just, once again, guys, just pay attention to your email, pay attention to social media, and we'll continue to communicate with you as effectively as possible. Game days. Now it's the time for us to talk about what is going to happen on game days. So Jeremiah, tell us a little bit about what coaches, players, and parents need to expect on game days.
We'll just walk you through the early morning games. Lots of times the games will start at 8 a.m., sometimes 9, but mostly 8. So a lot of times teams are showing up at 7:15 and gym doors are locked. So just so you'll know what to expect, we do not open up the gyms until 30 minutes before the game time. So if you have an early game, it starts at 8 o'clock, there's no need to get there at 7 o'clock or 7:15. Show up at 7:30, we'll be opening the gym. There possibly could be setting up chairs, so you just kind of know how the feel is. But yeah, 30 minutes before the game times. Teams should be ready to play, even if your game is later in the day, at least 15 minutes before the game. So make sure your players are not strolling in there at game time whenever we're trying to see who's there, who's not. So 15 minutes before the game, be ready to play. All teams will get a minimum of 5 minutes to warm up. Regardless if the game before went longer, it's not going to matter. You're still going to get your 5 minutes of warm up. All coaches need to go to the website, print off the score sheets that we've provided. They're NNH score sheets. You need to print them off, fill them out, put your first and last name of all your players with their number. I would advise going ahead and doing that for the entire season, keeping them with you. That way you don't have to worry about it. We will have score sheets at the table for the first few weeks. We will not do that throughout the whole year. We understand that sometimes people forget, but we want to train you to have those, give them to our score sheet, our scorers, so they'll be ready to score the game. You need to do that whenever your team's getting ready to warm up.
Yeah, and let me speak on that right there. One of the first things that you should do, when you tell your team to go warm up, the first thing you should do as a coach is go ahead and get that out of the way. You should go take your score sheet to the scorekeeper, let them have it. It is not their job to track you down. It is not their job to actually write out your players. And so just go ahead and do that, because starting in January, if you do not have that, you will be assessed a technical foul. That's just one of the rules, and it's just one of the ways it keeps the game and the whole game day going really smoothly throughout the rest of the day. Another thing that I want to touch on, not to steal your thunder, He said be ready 15 minutes to play before the game. We will not start games before time. We are not going to start any games early where grandparents or somebody shows up and the game's been going on for 10 minutes. We won't do that. What we're saying is that get your kids, get your players there on time, and on time means 30 minutes before, be ready at 15 minutes.
Correct.
That's just to help you guys.
Yes. And one thing to add to that, as you put your players on the roster, over time, we will start checking the score sheets that you provide to the rosters that are on the website. So please make sure all your players are rostered on the website. Also, just kind of going along with the game days when you're there, if you are the home team, you will wear a white colored jersey. All teams need to have two distinct colors of jerseys, one light, one dark. Visiting team will obviously wear the dark colored jerseys. If you're the home team, you'll wear white and you will sit on the right side of the scorer's table facing the court. Also, as the home team, you will provide the game ball. So all teams need to have a game ball. There's several out there. We would really want it to be a leather basketball, something nice that you would provide that both teams would like to play with.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching this segment. On to our next segment. All right, game rules. And this is one of those things where every year we have tons of questions, and we're going to get to some frequently asked questions here in a little bit. But first off, I want to let everyone know that all of our game rules can actually be seen on the website at northnationalhoops.com. And Jeremiah actually has his phone here, and he's going to highlight some of those rules. And because some of these rules is things that they're just key rules that we need to let people know. So, Jeremiah?
Well, first of all, in our league, like you said, all the rules can be found on the website. They're also differentiated by the actual division, so it's very easy to follow. First of all the divisions, like I said before, play with intermittent basketball, 28.5. This year, we've actually made one change that we had to adjust last year because of COVID. We are now going to play all the halves as 20-minute halves. Last year, we played them as 18, so we'll move that to 20-minute halves. Overtime, it will be a 1-minute overtime. If it goes into a second one, it would be sudden death at that time. A couple other key highlights. One major thing is us as a league, we do not regulate playing time for your team. So we would not take emails or phone calls by parents, grandparents about the playing time of a player. That is something that's totally mandated by the head coach, and they are totally responsible for that. One other thing is the scoreboard will never show more than a 30-point victory. So once a team exceeds that 30-point mark, we will not continue adding to the score. It would be kept up on the score sheets by the scorekeeper, but it would not be reflected on the scoreboard. One major thing is coaches need to stay within the coach's box. How we define that as a league is basically the length of your bench. We also follow TMSAA and TSSAA rules. So some officials may let you extend that down toward the baseline. To be safe, I would stay within the bench. If they let you do that, or if they don't let you do that, you'll probably find out that way. Then we have some pretty much exceptions to the rules. There's, like I said, several rules listed on here that you need to go on and look at. But we have some exceptions that are listed by division. So we would start first basically with defensive exceptions and some free throw exceptions. The second, third grade boys, that division will shoot their free throw from 13.5 feet versus 15 feet. They are also allowed a small step over the line, what we would call a momentum step, as long as they don't make an effort to rebound the basketball after that step. They will not call that. The defensive rules for second, third grade boys is full court man-to-man and full court zone defenses are allowed only in the second half of the game. On the third violation of this rule, the offensive team will be awarded one technical foul and shot. Another divisional rule will be fourth grade boys. Fourth grade boys is basically regulation basketball. There is no defensive rules, but the free throw rule is we will shoot that from 15 feet, the normal free throw line, but we also are allowed a momentum step as long as they don't try to retrieve the basketball. Outside of that, those are the only league exception rules for different divisions.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And you guys, if you've made it this far, we only have a couple more segments to go. So on to our next segment. All right. Now, honestly, to the most difficult segment that we have, and that is coaches, parents, and player conduct. And I know that this is one of those things where we want harmony, we want peace, and we want a great time for these kids playing this sport. And we want a great time for parents and for coaches, because we know everyone is really invested. I know people are giving up their time, they're giving up their finances, and but at the end of the day, sometimes this game becomes emotional, and we let our emotions get the best of us. But however, this conduct, it's on the website, and when you registered your player, you check the box. That's just like signing it. When you register to be a coach, you check the box. That is just like signing it. So you might want to go back and actually read over some of the things that Jeremiah is about to talk about in our conduct section of our website.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend going back and reading over that, because a lot of times you're anxious to get your player registered, or you're anxious to get your team registered. You see the waiver, you click the box, and you move on. What happens is something along the time of the season, something arises, and then there's an email. Hey, what happens if this? Or what happens, yada, 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 with this? And I really just want to copy and paste the waiver and send it back. And it's probably what I need to do. But I would advise going on the website and reading the parental code of conduct, reading the coach's code of conduct, and really just absorbing that information. All of it's on there. Save us some time on this video of not sitting here and reading all of it for you.
You know, so you guys go and check that out. But let's talk about some things, Jeremiah, from, let's go ahead and start with coaches.
Sure.
Let's say, hey, coaches get a little irritated at the officials, which we know is going to happen. What happens when a coach breaks some of those conduct rules?
Well, first of all, during the game, the official's in control. And that's stated in there. Gym supervisors are not in control, so we don't need coaches yelling at us or yelling at a scorekeeper to get a gym supervisor over there. The person hired to do the game is the officials, and they're in total control of that game. Regardless if you like it or not, or agree with their calls or not, they are in control. So when it comes to an official, he's going to let you know when you have stepped over the line. And a lot of times that's whenever a technical foul is assessed. I have coaches, contact me and, apologize for getting a technical foul, which I appreciate, but that doesn't bother me. Technical fouls don't bother me. That's your warning. That's your warning from the official to say, hey, I've had enough. And like I said before, if you like it or not, that's him telling you or her telling you, it's time to get to just playing basketball. Outside of that, if you can continue and they decide to, assess a second technical foul, that would result in an ejection. And that's when some of the league policies come into effect.
Now, what happens to a coach? They get ejected. What happens?
So after a coach is ejected, we would get that report back from the official, or the scorekeeper would let us know that the coach has been ejected. At that point, we will contact you or contact the coach and let them know in order to coach in the next game, you will have a 1-game suspension, or what we implemented a few years ago, which I thought was a great idea, is you have to do this anyhow, to I guess you have to take an online sportsmanship class. You'll actually have to take it. You'll have to complete it. You would submit to us that you've completed that class. It's a free class, but you submit to us that you've completed it. And at that point, you would be eligible to coach in the next game. Now, it also depends on what the ejection was for. A simple 2 technical foul ejection, you've kind of lost your cool that day. The sportsmanship class would take care of that. We would have you back in there, because ultimately we understand sometimes emotions get the best of us. You're there coaching kids. That's what we want you to be there for. And as little interruption of that as possible is what we want. So the online sportsmanship class would get you eligible for the next game.
Right. All right. So now let's talk about parent conduct. And that's something that I deal with. And it's crazy because we don't have a lot of parent conduct issues until really tournament time.
Right.
And it seems like every year when it comes to tournament time, I have had to ask some people to leave the gym.
Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about what we expect for parents to do when they're inside the gym cheering on their child.
Yeah, the main thing as a parent, and we've both been there, so we totally understand, is really just focusing on the team concept, understanding that the coach is there to coach, the official's there to officiate, the scorekeeper's there to keep the score, the gym monitor's there to make sure everything's going on. Everybody has a job. Your only job really is to sit back and enjoy your player play. And if you're a grandparent or family member, it's the same. Just enjoy the moment, cheer them on, cheer for them, not against the other team. And that's really just our main requirement.
And so, coaches, here's one thing I want to tell you. This is how I handle parents. And I think, coaches, this is what you really need to understand. If I'm at the gym already and I hear, I understand some things are going to be said. When I think it's went over the limit, I will go up to that parent. I'll look at them and say, hey, that's enough. It's just simple. I'm not going to walk up into the stands. I'm just going to look up and tell them that's enough. And then at that point, you also be aware that that some of your crowd or some of your fans have said something. If that parent continues, that's it. It's kind of like the technical.
Sure. Once
a parent I've already told them as an adult that that's enough. If they keep on, I will personally, or somebody will stop the game. Could be you, but 9 times out of 10, it's me. We stop the game. I tell the referees to stop, and we don't play more basketball until you leave the gym. And I'm very unfortunate that has happened. But at the same time, people want to enjoy the game. They don't want a parent who's in the crowd that is just continually badgering the officials. No one wins like that.
That's right.
Well, coaches, we appreciate you watching, and you can always come back and watch this video more. Once again, you can ask us questions. We're not saying, hey, do not ask us any questions. All that we ask is that you be personally responsible for your team, for your parents, and just be personally responsible for you as a coach. Go to our website, northnashvillehoops.com. Just take a good hour and spend in that website, and you will learn a ton about our league. And I guarantee you that your season will go a lot smoother if you do that. We wish you guys all the best, and we'll see you on Saturdays.